Hi, I'm Seth. I talk Star Wars with this man.
Today's gonna be a pretty chill episode. We got
Yeah.
just the comic, not a lot else to talk about. I was trying to find some news stories. There's not really a lot going on. Uh, Diego Luna might get the Emmy, or at least nominated,
Yeah.
uh, which would make some history apparently, because apparently a Latino has not been nominated for Best Actor since '99.
Yeah.
Uh, with another Star Wars alumni being the one who got those nominations, Jimmy Smits. I love Jimmy Smits. Um, aka Bel Organa.
Hmm.
Outside of that, there's not really much else to talk about. Um, at least in Star Wars,
Hmm.
there is stuff to talk
Yes.
about for the channel.
Yes.
I released a system reference document, although you guys can't really see it very well. I printed it off myself, but it's a PDF that y'all can find. That is a so. I'm gonna take a step back.
Yeah.
System reference document. Gotta explain that
Hmm.
because I'm gonna like our audience is smart, so I'll assume that they know what it is, but I'm gonna also just explain it in case. Um, so a system reference document is a set of rules based around a tabletop system that are legal documents shared by whoever is publishing this tabletop system to allow for third parties to legally use their rule system to create their own books and content. Generally, rule books for an adventure books and stuff like that. So, for example, the Grim Hollow game we played,
Hmm.
that is based off of the fifth edition D&D SRD, the three SRD 5 point, what is it, SRD 1 point or 5.0 or whatever.
Something like that.
Yeah. Anyways, it's that. So it allows people to make content using my tabletop system that I have devised. And I've been working on this tabletop system for
A
a
while.
while. 5 years, I want to say at this point.
Hmm.
Because what? 2018 we did the playtest.
Oh shit! Has it been that long? Damn. Do another one.
We technically did 3 in a row.
Yeah. Do another one.
I don't have new content yet.
Ah, damn it.
I'm having to rewrite the old content because I lost that content.
Oh yeah. In the Great Jumble Incident.
Yeah, the Great Jumble Incident. I lost some stuff regarding that. One of those being the actual. So I saved the rules
Hmm.
because the rules were being shared with the playtest notes. So I had the rule book, but I didn't have the adventure that I planned to have
Oh,
included in the rule book.
damn.
So which is the it's not part of the Remnant series. It's the third adventure you guys played.
Rebuilding a galaxy.
Yeah, it's the Rebuilding a Galaxy adventure. So I've been actually re-listening to that playtest to kind of get a broad idea of what my notes would have been.
Yeah.
And then I'm kind of making I'm reverse engineering my own notes using the playtest.
Yeah.
Um,
God.
it's I've gotten past the prologue of introducing all the characters because I definitely rewrote the prologue stuff because I was like this time I was like yeah no we're not gonna go through every version of it, we're gonna make these ones the important ones, but we'll say that like if you have this type of player then you can go over this one as well.
Hmm.
um and basically like I made all of them take place on Vincem as well, which was not the case originally.
Yeah.
Because at least the scientist one took place on Scamino originally. I changed that. I was like, nah, it'll be on Vincem now, just so everybody starts at the same place and then everybody can leave together.
Yeah.
It simplified it. Um, so that's the good news of doing it that way is I'm able to go, you know what, that idea doesn't work, which is also what I'm doing for Super Worlds 2, because I also lost that in the Great Scramble.
Yep.
Um, that's okay. I thought I was getting myself into a what's it called? I just texted it to somebody. It's the thing George R. R. Martin got himself into, the Maresian knot, where you've written yourself into so many plot lines that they've knotted together, and you now have to unweave that knot to fix your storyline. So it's a line and not a knot. Because at least in where we get that term from is in the case of George R. R. Martin, it's for A Song of Ice and Fire. Danny is still in Marine in the books.
Mm.
And the way that George has written himself, there are many ways that she can get off there, but there's too many options because too many people are going there. And then also on top of that, you also have to consider the timeline of like who will get there first because boat travel. And so, while mine is not something like that, I was writing too. My thing is I had too many plot lines going on, and I was like, how am I going to connect these? And then the connections I was making, in hindsight, I'm not proud of. I'm like, these are kind of weak.
The flimsy a bit.
Yeah, they're a bit flimsy. So I'm going to try to focus on one storyline. Maybe two. But definitely not going to do the three that I originally had. Good thing is, some of it I did handwrite the notes. I just didn't have as much done. Like, Super Worlds 2 was like all notes. Because the way I was writing that one anyways, was I was writing notes and I would just write more details of those notes.
Yeah.
I wasn't writing the actual dialogue or anything yet. And I was just writing as much notes as possible to where I could get to a point where I had so many notes that I could turn those notes into the story with the dialogue added. Because that's just the way my brain works, is if I can just get myself into a groove of writing, it's easy to write notes and the highlights. And then eventually, if I get into the right groove, I can turn those highlights into more in-depth highlights, and then to even more depth highlights. And then eventually just the story. That's just how my writing goes, like, in that one. For some reason, Super Worlds 1 was easier. Super Worlds 1, I kind of just said, alright, we're sitting here, we're writing this many words for the day, and we're not getting up till we write that many words. That was easy. This time, it's not as easy doing that. But, yeah. Super Universe is now feeling real to me, which is the name of the RPG system. Because while we did the playtest, and that's real in a sense, it's not the same as putting my rule set out there to the wider public for people to download. I mean, you said you downloaded it. Which
I downloaded it.
I think I saw the number. Because I don't have the money to have my own domain yet, so it's a Weebly website. So, but the good thing about Weebly is I can see the back information a little bit, even without paying, and I can see, like, people going to the site, people doing activities on the website. I can't see in depth of that, because then you have to pay, but I can still see, like, the basic numbers. And so, I've seen a little bit of a spike, so that's good. I'm glad people are going out there and checking it out. And this is about building a community, because I did it because, one, I just wanted to get my rule set out there, because it's been 5 years.
Yep.
And I don't have the core rulebook ready, because I don't have all the art assets I want for it, because I would like to put some more art into it, and plus I also have to finish the adventure for it. And then when I do finish the adventure for it, that's more art that I gotta add, as well as potentially a battle map, because I do want to put a battle map in there. A battle map, for those who don't know, is exactly almost what it sounds like. It's a map that you use for tabletop encounters. So when there's a fight in your game, you would throw down the map, and you can have people place their characters onto the map to represent where they're at. Makes combat flow simpler. It's not necessary. A lot of people do really good with Battle of the Mind combat. Because I think or not Battle of the Mind, but
you're close. You go to them to see movies.
Oh no. Theater of the Mind, thank you.
There we go.
Theater of the Mind combat, which is the opposite of putting a battle. It's the opposite of putting a battle map out there. It's you literally just use your imagination to go, where's my character at? And then the DM's like, oh, you're maybe about 5 feet away. And some DMs will say, forget about distance. If we're gonna do theater of the mind, we're just gonna theater of the mind it, and we're gonna assume that you're always right within range of combat because why not? Because
Yeah.
I've heard from some DMs on YouTube that that's a pretty good way of running your encounters. Is sometimes to keep encounters moving quickly. That's one way to do it. I've also heard that maybe getting rid of attack of opportunity might be healthy for combats as well, because that will make players be more willing to move around and strategize a little bit further than just, well, I'm stuck here until I kill this guy. Because a lot of people get paralysis about moving their character with attack of opportunity,
Yeah.
which is fair.
No.
I've had that paralysis.
Cowardice.
I've had that paralysis before, like, because you don't, especially if you're level 1, you don't want to.
Yeah, I understand that.
I think I kind of want to experiment about getting rid of attack of opportunity. I might do that on my next one shot. Get rid of attack of opportunity and unless somebody has a specific ability, like if a player has has an ability that I don't think there are a lot of abilities attached to it though. And
There are, as far as I'm aware.
so I might just get rid of it and see how combat goes with that style. How fast, because it's supposedly going to make combat move more efficiently and also allow for your players to think more dynamically about the environment. Because now they can think about the environment and not worry about, I want to run to cover because that's the smart strategic thing to do. But if I do, I'm going to get potentially hit by this guy standing right next to me. I mean, your odds are about, they're not really 50-50 because on the dice it's not really a 50-50 chance. So I guess a 1 in 20, well, whatever your AC is in 20, whatever your AC is minus 20, or 20 minus your number.
Yeah.
And then that's your percent of a chance of getting hit, well, times 4. That's your percent of a chance of getting hit. Because math is hard. But yeah, so like because other systems do it, I threw it out there as well because that's another thing. Not only did I just want my system out there, it just seems to be the right thing creatively to do.
Yeah.
Because it allows it's going to build a community because people are going to download it and check it out, and they're possibly going to make their own content out of it and have fun that way. And maybe I'll get to see it on the internet and be like, oh, that's a cool thing they did with my system. And that's honestly the best form of like success for a tabletop system, in my opinion, is if you see other people playing it and making their own rules about it. That's fantastic. And so a sense of community is another reason. And then just tradition, because tabletop systems have almost always had a public SRD license using the Common Creatives license.
Yeah.
I mean, at least as long as Wizards has had it for D&D, D&D's been that way. I don't think TSR did it because that wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah.
Back in AD&D 2nd edition days. Well, it might have been because I know GURPS does it. GURPS has it.
Oh, God.
Which I saw a really good video about GURPS. But I'll
Don't talk to me about GURPS.
I'll tell that story after I finish this discussion because we don't have a lot to talk about on the main topic. So
Yeah.
we're just kind of it's a chill episode.
Yeah. Like.
And then, but yeah, like community, and then like GURPS did it. D&D does it. Pathfinder does it. To be fair, though, Pathfinder is built off of the D&D SRD. The 3.5 version of D&D specifically, but because people built Pathfinder because they liked 3.5 and they were upset with what 4 was doing. And so I don't. Yeah.
It is weird, and I learned a lot of RPG game systems in like the most random order I possibly could.
I mean, starting with Pathfinder isn't that random. Pathfinder is
No, because it goes.
Because didn't you start with Pathfinder?
Yeah, I started with Pathfinder. Then I went to, I think, although this is technically a one shot, so it shouldn't really count. Mutants and Masterminds.
Okay, yeah.
Then
Which is one I still haven't played.
Then Force and Destiny with you.
Yeah, the Fantasy Flight Star system, yeah.
And then
I just call it the Fantasy Flight system because it's because that includes Edge of the Empire and Age of Rebellion.
And then I went and learned fucking Vampire the Masquerade.
Which edition?
For Jared.
Oh, okay, so that would have been the second edition I think he wanted to use.
I think so. Is either the second or the third? I'm not
yeah,
sure.
because he didn't want to use 5th edition, because they were on 5th edition for Vampire at that point, right?
I don't know.
Like, I think it just come out.
I still have it somewhere in my documents.
I don't know what happened to my werewolf bard. He's somewhere.
So that's like the RPG systems that I've learned, and then GURPS.
GURPS is a more free flow system.
It is.
It's very similar to Fantasy Flight in that the story comes first, but it's like even more like the story comes first than even Fantasy Flight.
Like
Fantasy Flight still has like mechanics that are like.
I prefer Fantasy Flight over GURPS.
Yeah, I mean both are good, but yeah, I can see why people might prefer it. Because GURPS is so wide open in the idea of you can do anything as long as narratively it can fit.
Yeah.
Whereas Fantasy Flight is still like, no, you still have to pass a die roll. You still have to like do this to make that happen. You still have to do way more to make something happen in Fantasy Flight, and there's still a chance of failure. I think GURPS still has chances of failure, but it's a different type of failure. It's a failure that you allow as a player because narratively it just tells a better story, and nobody plays a tabletop system to not tell a good story. Because I think even players come to the table knowing that they're there to tell a story. Even if that might not be the thing that they enjoy the most about a tabletop game. Like, certain people are very much... There are certainly people that care more about the combat in a tabletop system, which means I do not recommend GURPS to you, because that is not what GURPS is. No, you are not going to get any enjoyment. Like,
it has it.
It has it, but that's not what it's built for.
Yeah.
It's built to be a storytelling device, first and foremost. But speaking of GURPS, because I'm done with my Super Universe stuff.
God.
I heard a really interesting story because I've been getting into the TTRPG side of YouTube again.
All right.
Because as I'm prepping for my one shot that I'm building, like today on the way here, we were listening to some videos that are lore videos for fantasy, for the Forgotten Realms for D&D. So that's where my game is going to be taking place. And while I know a lot about the Forgotten Realms, it's nice to get like some of the to hear it and be like, oh, this is something I didn't know. Like pick up on the little things that I didn't know, and then I can, if it's something that I think is valuable, I can pull that into my game. But the same guy, there was a different guy I was listening to named William SRD. He's really good. He's actually turned me over to some really cool games because I watch a lot of his CRPG discussions, and he recently showed me a really cool free browsing game called RPG Wanderer.
All right.
And it's like you can actually pull your D&D Beyond sheet into that website, and it has a homebrew campaign that the first chapter is free right now. You can use your character. You have to have at least 2 characters. And eventually they want to open it for multiplayer, but for now it's single player. But you can pull 2 of your characters into that. But I was watching a different one of his videos because I was just going through a bunch of his videos. And one of them was about the time that the Secret Service raided GURPS, raided Steve Jackson Games.
What?
In the 90s, the Secret Service raided Steve Jackson Games.
Okay.
The reason was they thought that they were part of a high-level hacking group that was planning to take out the phone networks.
All right.
The story is complicated because, so there was this hacking group at the time called the Legion of Doom, named after the DC Legion of Doom.
Of course.
Because, let's be honest, hackers are nerds.
Yeah.
Always have been, always will be. No matter what the Matrix movies may try to make you think when you see Neo at the computer with his glasses going, that's not what hackers are.
No.
Hackers are a bunch of nerds eating Cheetos, going into the back of firewalls, of basically finding backdoors to websites. They don't really have to push their way into a network. They just kind of find a backdoor usually. So during this time, though, the Legion of Doom's main thing was going into Bell's, like Bell telephones, because back when Bell was a thing. Because I don't think Bell exists anymore.
Not anymore. They probably got bought out.
I think they went bankrupt. I don't know for sure. But Bell was one of the original phone companies, like because you had Bell, AT&T, and Verizon, and Bell was like the grandfather of phone companies. But they were charging exorbitant prices, so Legion of Doom made them a target. And what they would do, basically their rule was, we don't actually like steal from anybody. What we do is we find back routes into the network. Maybe we find a way to make find a way to make it easier to make phone calls and all that without having to pay the exorbitant fees, but we don't outright steal.
Yeah.
And if we get into their back network and we find a cool thing, then we can like download it or take essentially the early version of a screenshot. So download a PDF or something proving that we went there, and so one of these backdoors led to emergency documents, which were just basically they were 911 emergency documents. So they were just like how you contact 911, how you do this and that, using like nothing breaching major like security.
Yeah.
But they downloaded these documents, and so, but they had recently taken on this 16-year-old, I forget his name. It was something Fry.
All right.
Because he had, like, his big claim to fame was hacking into McDonald's pay systems and increasing the wages of the employees there, like the minimum wage employees there, which today would be a hero.
Yeah.
Back then, not as much.
How dare you?
But the hackers community still saw that as a good thing, because it's like, yeah, you're looking out for the little guy. Because doing that, like, while technically breaking the no stealing rule, it's helping the little guy. Yeah. So therefore, it's like it's a Robin Hood thing. Like, is it bad if it's the rich? Which we're not going to talk about the big topic regarding that this week. No, we're not touching that one. You already know which one I'm talking about.
I know which one, but I'm also like...
You also agree we shouldn't touch it?
I don't give a fuck about it. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm not feeling well.
Mr.
In
Fry
regards.
Guy. Yeah, Mr. Fry Guy, though.
All right.
I'm just going to call him Fry Guy. What's the name from Aqua Teen Hunger Force? Frylock?
Yeah.
Frylock. We'll call him Frylock.
Okay.
That's not correct, but we're going to call him Frylock. But
right.
Frylock is the 16-year-old kid who, big claim to fame, increasing McDonald's wages. Nice. What a great guy. Becomes part of the Legion of Doom because of this, because Legion of Doom's like, hey, he's got potential. Robs a bank.
What? Okay.
Frylock robs a bank by hacking it.
Okay.
Gets caught by the Secret Service, by police, and because it's such a big deal, because it's a hacking crime, I think it's Secret Service, actually, because Secret Service and FBI are fighting over who gets internet jurisdiction during this time. Because
Okay.
remember, internet's still relatively young.
Yeah.
There is no like internet. Internet is still very lawless at this time.
Mm.
So they started interrogating him, and he's like, "I'm just a kid. The Legion of Doom made me do it." Because, you know, they don't understand that the rest of these hackers are probably also a bunch of 16-year-olds. Because let's be real, that is most of the hacking community is a bunch of kids. There might be one or two actual adults out there, which in this case we do find out about an actual adult out there involved because worked for Steve Jackson Games. But we know that realistically the majority of hackers are like teenagers who are just trying to be cool. But in reality are a bunch of jerks, like the 16-year-old, like Frylock, who then not only throws Legion of Doom under the bus, claiming that they corrupted him, he also makes a wild claim, like just an outright lie, of they are planning to take down the phone lines across the nation on a national holiday. Where the story gets interesting.
All right.
While he outright made this up, AT&T. So, do you know how landline phone calls worked?
There's a wire.
But like when you made the call.
Yeah,
it's not like
not really.
Sorry,
I was born in '99. They were kind of being phased out as I grew up, so I understand that the concept for it,
yeah,
but never the
technical side.
Yeah.
So when you make a call with a landline phone, you aren't directly connecting to the other person.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a cell phone where tower connects and then immediately takes it to the next person.
It has to go through like a bunch.
Now it has, like back then you still had to go through like, if you ever seen like an old movie with like from like the 50s that takes place in like the 50s or the 40s, you see the women connecting the phone lines. By the 90s there was a digitized version of that. You still had to do that, but it was all digitized. So there was nobody physically doing it. But that's how landline.
No more phone girls.
No more phone girls.
Damn.
But that's how landline phone calls work. Is you make the call, it goes to the system, and then it connects you to the person.
Okay.
Whereas nowadays it's pretty direct. Now you are directly calling a person if you're on a cell phone. Although landlines still exist, but nobody.
Yeah.
Unless you're like a grandma, you aren't really using it.
I was about to say, didn't they just go through essentially a cable and someone switched out the pieces?
Well, now I mean even
they don't do it now.
Even a modern landline now though connects to the same stuff that a cell phone does because you have to, because if you're calling a cell phone, it has to be able to connect. You can't. So yeah. But anyways, so on the AT&T version of this switchboard. That's the word that I was looking for. Of the switchboard, there was an error.
Oh. Whoops.
And if for some reason the switchboard connected to that error, it would create an error for every call on that switchboard.
Okay.
And then any phone line that it was connecting to, it would also mess up their switchboards. You see where this is going. That is exactly what happened on Martin Luther King Day, 1990.
Oh, no.
National holiday. Phone lines went out. Now, AT&T did come out and say, hey, this was our end. We'll fix this. So, no hacking group got blamed for it. But that didn't stop Secret Service from going, yeah, we're going to start locking down on Legion of Doom now. Because now they saw that it was viable, that something like that could happen.
Yeah.
So, after doing some research, they figure out that One of the people is, I forget who it is, but it's some guy who works for Steve Jackson Games. The guys who make GURPS. Also, Munchkin is a well-known game nowadays. I think for those who don't play GURPS. If you play Munchkin, Steve Jackson. Same company. So they track down this guy. They get a warrant from the judge to raid his house and Steve Jackson Games headquarters.
Oh, no.
So they raid this guy's house first and take everything that's digital. They take his computer, his mouse, keyboard, printer, just in case. They took everything digital. Anything that could potentially be used to hack. Because remember in the 90s, we're not dealing with tech-savvy people when it comes to the law enforcement side of it. And honestly, even today, we don't always have the most tech-savvy people in the law enforcement divisions for cybercrime. But even less so back in the 90s when a lot of development was still coming about for technology. Like, we're only a decade off from people who thought D&D was actual witchcraft.
Yep.
So, context. But so they raid his house, and then the guy hears on the Secret Service's radios that they're about to raid Steve Jackson Games, and they're about to kick down the door. And he says, "Whoa! You can have my keys. You don't have to kick down the door. Here's my keys." Oh boy, did they want to kick down a door, because they tried so hard not to take this man's keys to the office. But eventually they relent, and apparently, according to a bunch of sources, they really just wanted to kick down a door.
Ah, damn it. Fuck, they're cooperating. We have to... Fine, we'll take the keys. Do we have to?
This is really just a situation showing that cops just make things worse sometimes. But yeah, so they take the keys, and they... Just because they were able to get inside easily.
What the fuck was the FBI doing at this time?
I forget what they were doing, but Secret Service was in charge of this op.
For some reason.
Well, also Secret Service was still relatively new, because we also have to remember Secret Service's job was not always to protect the president. And they didn't exist until after Lincoln.
Yeah.
And even then, that was still not their job. You would think, oh, now that a president's dead, we should probably create a system where we protect our...
Nah.
Nope.
Do it yourself, they said to the president.
We create a Secret Service, but it's not for the president. I forget when they switched it over to where that was their job, but... It was already by this point that it was their job, though.
Yeah.
But so it's weird that they also had other things.
It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
But yeah, so they raid Steve Jackson Games. While they were able to get in gently, doesn't mean they had to treat the inside gently. They are reported to have tossed everything about the office. Once again, they took all electronics, including printers again. They threw their own breakfast wrappers down and littered the office as well.
This'll fucking show them.
But yeah, so they took all that stuff, and basically, no charges were filed. They were like, okay, let's try to find those, because by this point, Bell had been in contact with them, and Bell said that the 911 emergency documents were worth some crazy exorbitant number that they actually were not worth. They were actually worth like a quarter of what they said, if that.
Oh.
And so, and also they're copies of documents, so it's not like... Anyways.
Wow.
So they're like, all right, we gotta find these emergency documents because that's what what our warrant's for. No documents on any of the computers. No emergency 911 documents. So they're like, well, we're gonna do what cops do best, and we're just gonna try to find a reason to where what we did was okay, because otherwise we're assholes. Because yes, you were assholes in this situation.
Yeah.
But
We're keeping the printer, by the way.
but also like because they're cops, they have to now try to pin something on them,
Yeah.
even though that wasn't what they were initially looking for. So they decide to look into the that. So in the 90s, because
All right.
this is when this takes place, GURPS was working on a new expansion to their system.
Yeah.
They were making their Cyberpunk edition.
Oh. Oh no. Okay, continue. This is gonna be an interesting way to go about this.
So the Secret Service, not finding the documents that their warrant was for on these computers, finds GURPS Cyberpunk and starts looking through it and sees that there's a hacking mechanic in the game.
Oh man.
And so what they decide to do? They decide to make charges that GURPS Cyberpunk is a manual for actual hacking.
Oh no.
It's satanic panic all over again, baby.
Woo!
uh, like that's the thing. As somebody who we know the history of satanic panic because we're D&D tabletop players. So seeing that again in the 90s with this cyberpunk thing,
Oh god.
it's just like, oh, this is not different at all. I have seen this story before.
We gotta crack down on these cyber
Gotta stop the cyberpunks. And of course, the media didn't help because the media was also not intelligent on how hacking worked because it was the 90s. So the media just took the story as is from the Secret Service and was like, yeah, GURPS Cyberpunk is going to teach kids how to hack. Now, I don't think any actual charges did go through because Steve Jackson lost a lot of money. And also because he had to go through court cases and stuff to clear his name, and also the name of his employees because of that. And not only that, they also lost the documents.
Oh boy.
Something I might know a little bit about losing my RPG system. Except mine wasn't taken by police.
Yours was taken by divine intervention.
Yeah, mine was taken by a hard drive that fell to the floor.
The great fall of 2023.
But they lost pretty much all GURPS Cyberpunk. They had backlogs of previous versions. Also something that I am very related. This is a very relatable story to me. Except my consequences are not as harsh as what they are for Steve Jackson games.
Yeah.
Because he goes into debt a little bit because of this. Actually has to fire some people, unfortunately. And they have to make Cyberpunk Edition all the way from essentially scratch. And they actually put in their special thanks in the editor's notes. They give the Secret Service credit as an unsolicited editor. And that is the story of how the Secret Service raided Steve Jackson Games and changed GURPS Cyberpunk.
Yep.
I thought it was a fun story. I saw that on from William SRD. Really fun YouTuber. If you like tabletop stuff, check him out. He's got some really cool stuff. He talks about TRPGs. He talks about the actual tabletop systems in depth. But he also, I was watching some videos this morning where he talks about old tabletop games from back in the day, like how the Romans were playing a version of a tabletop game, and early role-playing games. The Gladiators are early LARPing. By definition, they are technically LARPing. Of course, the balance of danger versus roleplay is where the fine line is interwoven
Yeah.
of like.
Put that lion in there.
But when it's like gladiator versus gladiator,
Yeah.
you're still like, for the most part though, it's kind of because gladiators were early wrestling.
Yeah, they are the Roman equivalent of pro wrestling.
Because that most of these gladiators had stage names.
Yeah.
Like they weren't going by their government name most of the
Yeah.
time. And honestly, a lot of gladiators, because we know about the slave side of the gladiator rings because of stuff like Spartacus, but the majority of gladiators were paid gladiators who went in willingly. It was a weird system. But no, and then he talked about some old like British role-playing games where it's almost like a party acting game where you took a line, like they would write this line that would be like a description of what your character was. You pick that up, you read it, and that's your character for the party game, and you play the game as your character. And so like early role playing. And so like it's interesting how long role playing has been a thing in history. We just like D&D is where like we recognize it now. But yeah, that's my tabletop discussion. Is there anything that's been going on with you this week?
No, not particularly.
All right.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Pretty chill week. Okay. Yeah, I've been busy. So let's get into the actual topic.
Yeah.
High Republic Adventures. Free Comic Book Day 2023.
You were like, it's gonna be a short one. And I'm like,
and here's our little spoiler warning banner.
Yep.
Because we are going into full spoiler territory. It is a free comic book. You can find it on the Dark Horse app. That's how I managed to get it. It's High Republic. If you want a spoiler-free thoughts, it's good. If you like Lula Talasola, you like their adventures, and you like dealing with Krix, that bastard, then you'll like this. It does leave on a big cliffhanger, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you were saying though, I told you that this was gonna be short because this was one I didn't send till Wednesday, I think.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't think you tagged me or anything. I was just like, oh yeah, I'll send it when I send it.
Yeah.
And like, I told you Tuesday it was gonna be a short thing, and I started screenshotting it again or getting my copy for you, and it's short because it's technically 2 comics.
Yeah.
Because it's free comic book day, so they had like one thing and then another thing. And the first thing was the High Republic Adventures story, and then the next was an Avatar: The Last Airbender comic. We didn't need that part, so we're just talking about the High Republic Adventures part because we're a Star Wars podcast. While we did talk D&D for about 30 minutes. It's.
Yeah. Krix, why, man? Why are you like this?
Well, first off, how does it feel coming back to like Phase 1 era High Republic after so long? Getting to see some of our Phase 1 characters again.
It's good. It's good to see them.
Because, like, here's the lineup of some we see. We see Lula again, obviously. Mm-hmm. We see Buckets of Blood. We see, I just forgot their names.
Court, Farzala.
Farzala, yeah. We don't see Zine.
Yeah, because
Zine is busy with the Midnight Horizon events. Because I think, because this is when Midnight Horizon would be happening. Like, this is... No. This is after Midnight Horizon. Because this would be after... This is when Zine goes off on her own still, though. Because this would be after the interrogation with Krix, and Krix has escaped from his cell.
Yeah.
Because Midnight Horizon takes place concurrently with that interrogation, because we get 2 versions of that interrogation. Because we get the Midnight Horizon version, where we see Zine's perspective of it.
Yep.
And then we get the High Republic Adventures version of it, where we get Lula's version of it, because we get their inner monologues on both sides of it. Which, it's a good interrogation scene.
It is. It is.
But I like being back with our characters. I don't like being here in particular.
Yeah.
Because we're back at the Falling Star events with Starlight Beacon plummeting. In fact, they talk about the fact that they heard the top half falling off.
Ooh.
In this comic.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we heard something. And then we see the core of the station with the top half gone. So they
gone.
just see them falling towards, because they still have we see them falling towards the planet, but like we see the sky above them.
Yeah.
Because their gravity makes it to where they have to be in the thing still, so like can't be upside down, so they're falling this way, not this way. Because we see the sky of Irem.
Yeah.
I think it's Irem that they're falling towards.
Well, it's got to be one of them.
Yeah, it's Irem or Arano. Irem, haha.
All right.
I was looking at the comic. Lula says Irem. So yeah, so they're falling towards Irem. Hey, I read this at the beginning of the week, so okay.
Yeah.
When I was getting your copy. But yeah, so they are falling towards Irem. We also see that Torben is we still don't know the fate of Torben entirely.
Yeah.
We know that he at least survives the initial run-in with the Nameless, because this also ties into Trail Shadows. Because in Trail Shadows, he gives the investigator, he's like, here, have my ropes. And he goes full on, like, almost topless.
Yeah, here, take it. It has Nameless blood on it.
Yeah, you can use that to study it. And then he runs into where the Nameless is. And then we have no idea what happens to him.
Yep.
But we get to see what happens after.
Yeah.
Because he's fine at the moment. Although I don't think he stays that way, but we don't know because it ends on a cliffhanger.
Yep.
So Buckets of Blood at least survives the Nameless encounter initially.
Yeah.
They do talk about how I think they do mention that the Nameless is still out there.
Yes.
On the station. Because they're with the hut guy that's been working with them.
And he's like, I've been shooting some fucking creature off, but it keeps coming back.
Yeah, because Farzala's reacting to it.
Yeah.
And so he's been protecting Farzala. Meanwhile, Court's also been reacting, but not as heavily.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we got the mini-me Court.
Court
2.0.
Does Court 2.0. Or is it the...
Because Court 2.0 is in there, I think.
No, I'm thinking about the fucking 6 spinning flip slash.
Oh, that's Court.
Yeah.
Court does the cool flip. But he shows it off to Mini-Me.
Yeah.
Because that's how he protects Mini-Me.
Whoa.
But Lula decides to track down Krix because Krix is being a bastard.
Again.
And so, because he shoots at her and at them, and she's like, okay, I can't have that.
Yeah.
These are my friends. Fuck off.
Fuck it.
So.
Every time.
Not only being back in this era, though, how does it feel to be specifically here?
Back on
Starlight Beacon as it's falling.
I'm like, this is not a place to be right now. I like seeing the characters again, but I'm like, the most dangerous fucking part of it.
I do kind of like that we're putting puzzle pieces together, though.
Yeah.
Like, because we're getting different perspectives of this event. Because it's a big event. It makes sense that we're getting so many perspectives of it, because if we didn't, that would be weird.
Yeah.
Like, this is one of those things of every character that was there is going to have their own story of what had went down. And, of course, we as fans want to know what happened to each of those characters.
Yep.
So it makes sense that we're going to get the different perspectives. We're going to get our High Republic Adventures version of it. We're going to get our mainline High Republic comic version of it. We're going to get the adult novels, the junior novels, the young adult novels, everything. The only thing that doesn't have to do with Starlight Beacon falling is the manga.
Yep.
Their hands are clean at this. They're busy losing Banshee.
Yep. You reminded me of something.
That the Nihil have taken over Banshee?
Yeah. They're busy.
Yeah. Nihil are taking over a lot of things at this time.
Fucking Lily's just over there. Ooh, hi, welcome.
Also, my apprentice is dead.
My apprentice is dead. I am very upset. Please go away.
So I like seeing Lula back.
Yeah. Is she choking Krix the fuck out?
She chokes Krix, which I don't know how to feel. I am mixed emotionally on it. Because it's like, Lula, you are a Jedi, although you were considering leaving. And then the other side of me is like, oh, Krix, you bastard, you deserve it.
Yeah. Lula's like, you don't get to fucking leave.
Yeah, because he was going to try to escape, because he set off, he was like making sure, like, he was like, oh, I'm going to make sure you die here, and then I'm going to get out of here. Because as we get a little bit too close, things are going to explode.
Yep.
Because pressure.
Yeah.
Air pressure. Also fire and oxygen.
Mm-hmm. Kaboom.
Yeah, kind of how that works. But, so things explode. We see Lula kind of having a connecting moment with Zine. I want to interpret that as through the Force, them connecting. But it could just be her thinking about Zine.
Yeah.
It could go either way. It's not. This is one of those moments that's very open to interpretation. Because she is kind of reaching out to Zine because she's worried about Zine and Zine's worried about her.
Yep.
We're in the situation of they are separated, and then this happens, and then I think the next time we see Zine, it's like she doesn't believe that Lula's gone.
Mm.
Right? Because that's after this. Because Zine goes on her quest to find Lula, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Similar to our Finding Burry quest.
Yeah.
Like I said, short comic. That's it. It's
you
really,
will get to leave, Krix Rat.
It's really us getting to see what happened to our High Republic adventure crew during the rest of the fall. I like it. It's short. It's free, so I can't complain. I wish there was more, but obviously it's free.
Yeah.
Free comic day.
You think Lula made it out?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised though if she did. But that would also mean Krix made it out.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me.
I don't think it would be lazy in any way either, though, because depending on how they explain it. I mean, hell, other people have made it off falling.
Yeah.
Off the star.
We see the survive wars.
Yeah. Another happy landing.
Yep.
I think that's it for this week, though. Because
that's about it.
Yeah, that's really all the input I can have for this comic, because I liked it. It brought me back to the High Republic characters. It brought me back to Phase 1 High Republic characters. Brought me back to High Republic Adventures characters. So, I think that's a win. I'd give it only really a 7, though. It's pretty average comic. Like, you good? Did I surprise you?
No. Sorry, I'll be okay.
But it's pretty on. It's like on par and on average with any other comic book. Like, it doesn't do anything. It's not grand in any way.
Whew. Oh man, oh man.
And what about yourself? Are you kind of putting it the same
Yeah, I'm not.
for similar reasons?
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's just right on par. So,
Yeah.
Like
It's all
it's a
right.
C. Not good. Well, good. Not bad. Not great.
Yeah.
You did enough to pass. And really, that's all we need sometimes. We don't need groundbreaking every time.
Yeah.
Next time, speaking of the manga, we get to see our other Wookiee Jedi Arkoff with the Edge of Balance precedent. If I remembered, I would have brought the manga in person and given it to you because I had that physically.
Oh well.
I'll give it to you Tuesday.
Mm. God, we are coming up.
Yeah.
And
Well, 2 months coming up. Well, next month. Next week is the beginning of July.
Mm.
I forgot. Next week is July 1st. So I guess I'll announce the rest of our July readings so far. We also got so after we do Edge of Balance Precedent, we'll be doing Volume 5 of the mainline Star Wars comic, The Path to Victory. We'll also be, the week after, wrapping up Han Solo and Chewbacca comic with Volume 2, The Crystal Run Part 2. So we're going to see what happens with Han, Chewie, and good old Pops. And Greedo. That motherfucker. Greedo's a bastard like Krix. And then the week after that, we'll be doing our first of the Hyperspace Stories comics, which are kind of like these different tales that it's done by Dark Horse. It's kind of the Dark Horse version of the Star Wars Adventures comics, where they're like just anthology type thing. And then lastly, but definitely not least for July, we'll be doing the High Republic, The Blade.
yes.
Which is one I know you've been excited about. Getting to see our boy The Blade in his early days.
Yeah.
The Blade of Bardata. That's how I would imagine him saying it.
Yeah. Porter Angle needs to go make soup.
Give me some egg drop soup.
Mm.
So yeah, next week, Edge of Balance Precedent.
Yeah.
Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on YouTube, it's youtube.com/escaperoticfilms. If you're watching on Twitch, twitch.tv/escaperoticfilms, be sure to follow or subscribe. Another way you can support us is by checking out the Patreon, which is linked down below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitch, you can find that at patreon.com/escaperoutyfilms. You can also find me on YouTube on TikTok, at escaperoutyfilms, where I've just been kind of doing whatever I feel like on there. That's kind of just been my whatever I feel like doing for the day. Last video I did yesterday was a Red Flags but Star Wars edition. The day before, I did a video reviewing the Grimace shake, the birthday shake at McDonald's, because I like food. So, and then I'm gonna eventually get back to doing some movie reviews. I just haven't been able to lately go to the movies. So, also shout out to our friends at the Mopcast Network who provide this wonderful space that we use. You can find them at youtube.com/Mopcast Network, facebook.com/CultMovieCantina, and you can also find them on any fine podcasting app at Mopcast Network. There you will find their show Cult Movie Cantina, where we talk about cult movies. This last episode we talked about 1986's Manhunter, where we talked about the very first Hannibal Lecter movie, essentially, and our thoughts on it. And I'm on that show as well. I co-host and co-produce. Help kind of run the board over there that's off screen, so that way the cameras look nice and the audio sounds good. Next week, or this week's episode, is just going to be a cult meeting, so we're just going to talk about whatever we feel like. because that's really cult meetings, is just catching up with each other and maybe having some snacks sent to us by Scotty's friend Kisa, because sometimes we eat weird snacks. Like the last cult meeting, we ate white chocolate covered cheese,
Okay.
and it was shaped in like a craft like macaroni shell, like a shell craft macaroni shell. Like the white chocolate was shaped that way around the cheese because it was craft that.
All right.
So that was interesting. I thought it was fine. Not my favorite snack. Probably wouldn't pay as much as Scotty did for it, but wasn't bad. You can see how everybody else reacts over on the Mobcast Network stuff. Also, shout out to Gamers and Geeks who provide the space to Mobcast Network, as this is rented out. Basically, Mobcast pays the rent. We get to use it for free. Gamers and Geeks owns it.
Watch out.
Yeah. Gamers and Geeks is our local gaming shop here in Mobile, Alabama. You can find them on Moffett and Palos Ferry. My brain almost disconnected there for a second. And they've got D&D, Magic the Gathering. In case you haven't noticed, we are tabletop nerds as well as Star Wars nerds. And so we get this filming here is perfect for us. And so if you are like us and you are a tabletop nerd and you like card games, board games, they've even got some classic board games, like nothing too classic, but they got a lot of good board games as well. You can check them out. They also have an arcade in the back, which is where that danger was coming from, where you pay up front, you get a wristband. It's $10 for the day, and it's free play machines, so you don't have to put any orders in. They got like pinball. They got House of the Dead 2, I think, still there. Depending on, I don't know if they switched that one out with some other shooters, classic shooters, railgun shooters, I should say. They also have all the classic Mortal Kombats, so all the ones that are actually like arcade cabinet ones. Don't know if they still have any Tekken over there, or not Tekken, but what was the one?
They got
Street. I think they've got Capcom. They've got some Cap. I think they got SNEC, but they don't have Street Fighter proper.
I think they have Capcom versus SNK.
Yeah.
2.
Yeah. They've got some kart racers as well, because there's like a Mario Kart thing. I think Crazy Taxi's up there too, which I love Crazy Taxi. There's so many options. They've got like certain cabinets that have a bunch of games on it too. So if you don't find the game you're looking for, it might be on that. They also got classic arcade cabinet games. They've got Galaga and Mrs. Pac-Man.
I think so.
I think that's the ones they've got. It's either Galaga or Galaxia. I always confuse those two because they're basically the same game. One just has a different type of alien creature than the other that you're shooting down. One also lets you form your ships, I think, and the other one doesn't. I can't remember.
That's everything, right? Did you go over Engage Gaming?
Engage Gaming is next door to Engage Gaming is next door to they're in the same building, but it's next door essentially to Gamers and Geeks. We aren't partnered with them, but they're awesome. We're friends with a lot of them there. They do video game rental in-house thing where you pay a hourly fee and you can play PS5, Xbox Series X, PC, VR, and you play whatever games you want on their systems, and you just do it here at the shop. And then whenever you're done, you're good. And they just hold the systems themselves, basically, so that way you can have a chance to play the games you want in case you don't have those systems. I think they also do events, because I think that I've seen like that you can set up events. So a lot of good stuff. I think that's everything on the outside promotion end. Once again, though, we talked about at the head. Don't forget to check out my system reference document for Super Universe. You can find that on at escapereality.books.weebly.com/super-universe-role-playing game or it's role-playing hyphen game, I think. Yeah, role-playing hyphen game. It's gonna be linked down below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitch, go to the YouTube channel. Go check it out. Speaking of tabletop games, D&D, Titans of the Tabernacle,
Trials of Nebu.
Trials of Nebu. Sorry,
You can catch.
I was thinking of the other game.
You can catch some of our pals over there every Sunday from 5 to 7 Central Standard Time. It's Twitch.tv. It's Steam_Dungeon.
Steam in all caps.
Yep.
Although I don't think Twitch is case sensitive.
I
think
don't
we
think
tested
so.
that and we found that
It should be fine. You'll
just in
fucking.
case. Either way, it's linked down below if you're watching on YouTube.
Yep.
And as well as the information for when that's on. And so it'll be tomorrow.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll be there tomorrow or not.
Yeah.
If I'm not feeling better enough to go into work tomorrow, then I'll probably be there. But
yeah.
I'm not
gonna make you recap what's going on because I'm gonna let you rest your voice.
No idea what the fuck is going on.
I know you said so last time you mentioned it was downtime. Again.
Yeah, we're back to downtime. Nothing happened last week because it was Father's Day.
Oh yeah, Father's Day. So there was no game.
No game.
Father's Day.
Yeah.
Did you do anything special?
I called my dad, but he lives over in Mississippi, so.
I got my dad some Mandalorian stickers that he put on some decals.
All right.
And just kind of it was just a relaxing day because my dad just wanted to relax. Which is fair because most of the week, I mean, every other day besides Saturday and Sunday, going to Atmore.
Yeah. You got Alberta, a bit of a trip.
Going to Alberta every day, essentially, and then back. That's
Yeah.
That's a thing.
But that's everything, right?
Yeah. So we'll see you guys again next week with Edge of Balance, Precedent. Pretty cool manga. Have a good one.